Hey folks, Will here again with Happily Ever Outdoors. I hope this video finds you well. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Kräftig Ferro rod from Überleben. Thank you to Überleben for sending this out to us to test and review. And I've got to say, this is a pretty stout ferro rod. If you've watched some of my other videos, you know that I'm a fan of big ferro rods. They're just easy to work with, they're fun to work with, they're dependable. I just like them. So this particular ferro rod comes in what they advertise as a 5-inch or an 8-inch size, which you see here. Now it's actually just under 8 inches. I'll put the exact dimensions up there, but this is just shy of 8 inches. Now this is going to be 1/2 inch in diameter, so this is really stout. I can't recall off the top of my head exactly how many strikes the manufacturer claims you can get out of one rod, but it's going to be a lot. This thing is going to last you for years if you take care of it. So this comes with a very simple, just a loop of shot cord. When you get it, it's kind of tied to where it's shorter. I went ahead and lengthened that up so that you could actually use the striker while it's attached to the cord. What you get here is kind of like a typical multi-tool-ish sort of striker deal. You see these with some of like the magnesium block fire starters, same type of design. You got the little measurements on there. You've got what's meant to be like a scraping tool on the end here. So if you were scraping some tinder, some bark, or some fatwood, maybe something like that, to make fine shavings, it would be good for that. You've also got what I guess you could use as a little wrench, or I think a bottle opener is the idea. I'm not a huge fan of this type of striker. I'm one of the people, I just like to use the spine of my knife, but it's good to have in case you got in a situation maybe where you lost your knife, or if you just want to put this in a bag. Maybe it's a bag you couldn't carry with a knife with you where you're going in that particular kit for whatever reason. It'll work, it'll definitely do the job. Now guys, this is going to be a short and to the point review because there's really not a lot of detail to delve into here. It's a big ferro rod. It's a big chunk of fire starter here, and at the end of the day, either it works or it doesn't, right? It's a pretty simple design, not a ton going on, but the real question, what really matters, is how well is it going to start a fire? Alright guys, so that wasn't too difficult. That was just a piece of fatwood that I brought out here with me. I was able to use that scraper, go ahead and make some fine shavings on there, and I was able to use the striker that's included with it attached to the ferro by that shot cord, and I was able to get a good enough spark to light that fatwood. So it definitely functions, but I will say, as you probably suspected, it's not the absolute best striker in the world, and that shot cord, I do feel like it gets in my way a little bit. I get the idea of it being attached so you don't lose it, but I really like to have a separate striker. That way I don't feel restricted at all, which is why I really normally tend to just use the spine of my knife. Alright guys, so I've just cleared a little patch of dirt off here just to get all the leaves and everything out of the way so we don't end up inadvertently starting a forest fire here. But we're going to kind of test this out a little bit under what I would consider a little more ideal conditions. You know, I've got my little can of tinder with me. I'm also going to use my knife like I like to use it to throw some sparks and see how much better of an effect we get that way. So I think a couple of the key takeaways here are that, number one, the Kräftig ferro rod, it works, and it works well. It's capable of throwing out a ton of sparks, no doubt about that. And looking at as much as I've worked this thing over prior to and during this video, it barely shows any wear. So you're gonna get a ton of strikes out of it. Now, we also established that the included striker and scraper, it works as advertised, and it works fairly well. However, when it comes to striking, it seems to me that a larger piece of steel, like the 90-degree spine of your knife, is going to work a lot better for throwing out sparks. Just makes it a lot easier. So is this a high-quality product? Yes, it is. Is it going to work for you when you need it to? It most certainly will. I see these type of ferro rods, these really oversized ferro rods, as great for things like a bug out bag. I mean, this may be bigger than what some people want to carry like on a daily basis when they're out in the woods. I prefer this size, but you may want something smaller. It's also going to be too big really for just like your, you know, smaller micro type emergency kits. It'd be way overkill for that. But I see this as like a long-term like bug out scenario type situation. Be great for a bag like that. If you want something that you can get out in the woods for a very long period of time and it's not going to break, not going to wear out, this is definitely going to do the job. Honestly, about the only gripe I have with this thing is I think they're a little bit proud of it when it comes to the price. There's other products like this out on the market, very comparable, on par with this, and they're doing it for less money. 4 Directions Bushcraft is one example. They've got basically the same ferro rod, just a different design as far as what you get in accessories, and it's less expensive than this. So I think they really should do a little look at their profit margin and see if they can bring the price down, at least maybe like $5. With that being said, this is still a really good quality ferro rod. I would certainly trust it for, you know, continuous heavy use, doing bushcraft, things like that, practicing your survival skills. I would also trust this thing if I were in a long-term situation where my life depended on it. I mean, it's built to last, and it throws great sparks. It does everything that it's advertised to do. So once again, this has been our review of the Kräftig ferro rod from Überleben. Feel free to leave your comments and questions below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.